Here we are, just playing a little Living Wish, which is a almost mono green deck. I've got no blue source for Phyrexian Metamorph, and Aethersworn Canonist out of the board for white. Can only cast that off of the Noble Hierarchs, but don't need to pull it often. Not sure what my opponent's playing yet, so I'll just lead with the acceleration, go with the Hierarch. Now I know I'm in deep trouble because I don't main deck the Bajuka Bog, so the crop rotation isn't going to help me right now. The Living Wish will help me, but only if he doesn't reanimate turn 1, which, if he entombs turn 1, usually means it's coming out. So he plays the second land, brings it back, and I'm ready to concede at this point. But he doesn't know what I'm playing. He looks like I'm playing Bant, so he names white to protect from swords and everything, which saves my hide, because I think that's one of the advantages of playing a deck that's kind of under the radar. As I'm typing right now, if you name green, it would have gotten a quick concession. But as it is, now I can take a hit from it, Living Wish for Caracas, and still set up the board for next turn. I mean, I could have just cast the Living Wish off the Hierarch and Forest there, but at 20 life, I'll take a hit, because pretty much with Caracas in play, I know he's not going to get anything. That's when I realize I am playing Caracas main, and I should have crop rotationed. Whoops. But Mazavith will do just fine, and then I can crop rotate for Caracas and have backup anyway. Either way, at this point, at 20 life, not too concerned, but definitely a good misplay on my part. I throw the Garrick out here, willing to take another hit from Iona, just so I can... I'm willing to bet he's going to take a swing at Garrick just to prevent me from ramping up, which this deck can do nicely. And sure enough, he does oblige. Either way, I wasn't too worried being able to crop rotate immediately if he swung at me for Caracas, but he didn't, so I just let Garrick die, took the time warp, and moved on. Definite misplay again. By if I was going to sacrifice and go through the motions, I might have done it and saved my Garrick, but wasn't really thinking that line at the time, so just a good old screw up. With Maze and Caracas untapped, I'm thinking I'm pretty much a 95% for the game, even through my pretty crappy misplays. I'm keeping the slime back just in case he pulls in Needle for Caracas or Maze and plays something non-legendary and goes to beat me with it, so at this point I know I can throw the Beastmaster out there and put him on a 2-turn clock and get this over with quick. You can leave it up here. You can leave it up here. I'm almost done. Yeah, so even though I screwed up, I managed to draw through it. Sideboarding, I'm figuring I'm going to bring in my normal anti-graveyard package, Scavenging Ooze, which I love, Pachuca Bog that I can crop rotate forward instant speed, get rid of the slow stuff, throw the life out there since I didn't say Wasteland, throw a Fists out there, which isn't so great if he's got the only creature on board, something that I can use to bounce. Jin Gitaxis, one of the Ascensions. And I think we'll be good to go. Actually, it is kind of funny. Scavenging Ooze is turning out to be an absolute powerhouse, especially with Court of Calling. I rarely lose to Dredge just by being able to bring him in at instant speed and wipe every Dredge or anything in the graveyard. And he's definitely something I want to snap up a playset of in paper, because I think he'll be a powerhouse. So at this point, I run out my 1-drop, hoping he's not going to be able to run the same play, and realize that looks like he is, and I kept something that was great as long as he didn't turn 1 or turn 2 reanimate Iona for green. He wasn't going to make that mistake twice, and I promptly fold this one up and move on to game 3, where I don't keep such a loose hand. I was hoping at that point he would have just reanimated Jin or something, and I can live through that. But unfortunately, not Iona on green. I can take a couple swings, hoping I flat draw a Maze or a Caracas, but it doesn't happen. I mean, he's at 9, so if I can pull fetches, maybe erase him, but I need some help. I definitely am down to pulling a Caracas or Maze, and as soon as he names Caracas with this, then Maze is all I've got as a 1-deck main deck out. So take a couple hits and realize it's game 3. It is pretty funny to note right here that he gets a little greedy and pulls back Jin. He doesn't know how many mazes I'm playing, and if I had an expedition map or something, or a way to get it, or sandbagging it, once he puts Jin back into play, he's pretty much opening up a win condition by allowing me to draw the maze, and with Magus of the Candelabra and Deserted Temple, I could just pretty much fog him out until he mills himself, or he draws another Pithing Needle to name Maze. But so I realized that and bring in the Maze, the second one. Don't count on me being able to crop rotation for it if he has another turn 2 Iona for the 3rd game in a row. Drop the slow land, which is good for racing, but not so good for control. And off we go. My goal this game is not to keep a loose hand against Iona. I'll assume he can turn 1 Iona. And this is what I'm looking for. Got 2 non-green outs. So I got Live and Wish, I got Caracas, I got Metamorph, and I'm feeling pretty confident at this point. Now he goes for the end step Entomb, and I'm thinking he's going to just pull another Iona. And I do a double take on the creature he names here, because I thought it was Iona real quick, and then I looked back and saw that he was going on a different plan this time. Maybe didn't want to open himself up to the legendary rule issue with Caracas, didn't have a needle in hand, so he pulls out Archon. Fortunately for me, I can generate pretty stupid amounts of mana next turn by dropping my Temple and throwing Garruk out, which is going to let me copy his Archon with my Metamorph. And at that point, I know as long as I can stall him for a few turns, I can develop my hand and either overrun him. But eventually I know I'm probably going to be able to attrition this one out. So now I just use the extra mana to Wish, hoping he's not playing Thoughtseize or anything like that. Get Ulamog so that I can ramp up next turn, hard cast him, destroy his Archon, and start the beats. And now with the crop rotation, I know it's pretty much over, because I can instant speed a Bojuka Bog on him at any point. So I ramp. I love the interaction between Cradle and Deserted Temple, as well as Garruk. Getting extra use out of him. And boom goes the Dynamite. Force gets the Ulamog, but not the trigger. Which I'm sure he knew. I just was certainly thankful that at least got rid of the Archon. Almost forgot to use my remaining mana to untap the Cradle. I probably should have crop rotated at that point to lessen the odds of him drawing a counter for my crop rotation, which I pretty much already knew I was going to do. It was his only out to reanimate something that turn. So I probably should have just crop rotated in response to the brainstorm. But instead I gave him more live draws and went for it anyway. Turns out he didn't have it. I was able to get the bog, wipe his graveyard, and pretty much sealed it. And that's all she wrote.